Hello, and welcome to Everyday Simple Somatics, a podcast dedicated to helping you find healing through your body's natural wisdom. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Baker. Today is going to be our first episode where we actually start giving you a specific somatic practice for a specific mental health concern. And one that I hear about so often in my office is anxiety and panic attacks. So I thought that would be a really good place to start today. And so if you are new to this podcast, I'd love to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Christine Baker. I have been working in the field of trauma recovery for a little over 13 years, and I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. And so that means that I'm someone who believes strongly that trauma is stored in our body, and therefore we must bring our body along with us in the trauma recovery and mental health recovery space, hence this podcast. If you are new, I would love to tell you to jump back to the first 10 episodes. We do a Essential Foundations series where we just kind of talk about some of the basics of the nervous system and somatic work. That's really going to set you up for success with these more practical episodes that are starting today and moving forward, dropping weekly. If that sounds interesting to you, I'd love to invite you to like and subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss any future episodes. Okay, so today we are talking about anxiety and panic attacks. So anxiety is going to be a flight response. It is the symptoms in your body connected to your nervous system saying, this is not safe and we need to get out of here. And so often you will see things like a bouncing leg. That's a pretty clear example of we need to get out of here, right? It's like the body trying to move out of here. You'll have heart rate increasing. You'll have breathing patterns increasing. You may even start to feel twitchy in your legs. All of these things are your body's way of preparing you to move to somewhere that feels safer than this current place, right? And so if you are experiencing anxiety or panic in a place that is not safe, then listen to your body, right? Like get out of there. It probably is time to leave. That is just your body's wisdom, right? But if you are experiencing it in a place that actually is pretty safe, then I'd love to give you a somatic skill that you can use to help your nervous system recognize that you actually are safe. It's like sometimes our body and our nervous system are stuck in the past. And so we're experiencing this present moment through the lens of our history instead of through our current eyes, right? And so this practice is going to help you get into your body in the present and be able to see your space with your present day vision instead of that past or even maybe future vision. So the exercise that we are going to do is going to be a combination of a butterfly hug, which is from the EMDR world, plus orienting, which is a skill that I talked about in our Essential Foundations episode about the pillars of regulation. This is a really important one. So a butterfly hug. So how it'll work in these episodes is I will explain to you what the exercise will be, why I think it works, and then we'll actually do it together. Okay? So this exercise, what you're going to do, the first step is you're going to place your feet firmly on the ground and really feel the support of the floor beneath you. And then you're going to give yourself a little hug and one arm crossed over the other. And then the butterfly part is there's just going to be a little tapping that kind of happens on one side and then the other. And you're going to want that tapping to be pretty slow. And so that's the butterfly hug part. The orienting part is as you're doing this, I want to invite you to just very slowly at whatever pace feels comfortable, you're going to look over one shoulder and then come back to center and then look over the other shoulder and then come back to center. And you'll just do that as many times as you need to. And so why does this work? Well, first, this part, the tapping from side to side, that's bilateral stimulation. Like I mentioned, most people are familiar with this from the EMDR model, and it works for a number of reasons. So one, it activates both hemispheres of your brain by tapping on side to side, and that helps interrupt that panic cycle. And because this tapping like this, plus the looking from side to side bit, and you may have even noticed it takes a lot of attention. Like, it was a little bit difficult for me to do it while I'm also talking to you about doing it. And so that really does require you to come back to present moment awareness and sensations. On top of all of that, the fact that this is like rhythmic, it gives your nervous system something to know it can expect, right? I think that that's one of the things that's so difficult about anxiety and panic is it's your body is believing, oh my goodness, we don't know what's going to happen, and it's too much, right? That unpredictability of it is too much. And so doing something rhythmic gives your body that awareness that, like, okay, I know that next tap is going to happen. I know that next tap is going to happen, right? Gives your body some expectation that you can depend on. It also creates some awareness of your natural boundary of your body by doing this little tapping, this self-touch, because you're very aware of, like, okay, there's the end of my body right here. And becoming aware of your own boundaries is also something that downregulates your nervous system. And then finally, the little added bit of the orienting from over each shoulder, right? This is giving your body a 360 view of safety. I'd love to really invite you to visually take in the safety behind you. And then again, when you come forward and you're back in the middle, take in that there's no threat in front of you. And then the same thing over the other side. So you're really allowing your body to take in the 360 view that there's nothing threatening. Do you see how the panic is quite often fear of the unpredictable or the unsafe? And this skill is giving us lots of predictability and lots of safety. That is why I think it will be quite helpful for people dealing with anxiety or panic. So, you guys ready to practice together? All right. So I want to invite you to just put both of your feet on the ground and just take a second to really notice the floor beneath you. Notice how it's not moving, it's not giving way. It's stable. Stable foundation. And then if you're ready, I'd love to invite you to go ahead and get in that butterfly hug position. And if that's uncomfortable or if it feels like too much touch, something you could also do is just kind of here. So tapping your hands on your forearms instead of up by your biceps. So whatever is most comfortable for you is just fine. And just take a second to notice the warmth from your hands, the shape of your hands, the pressure of your hands on your bicep, forearm. Maybe even noticing any little shifts that may happen inside just from that little bit. I even feel like some warmth just from kind of doing this little self-hug. And then whenever you're ready, I want to invite you to add some slow tapping. As you continue to tap, I want to invite you to very slowly start to visually take in your space. So in front of you, to the side, and then over one shoulder. Noticing safety. And then come back to the center. Again, visually taking in the safety in front of you. And then over to the other side. And then over that other shoulder. Noticing that there's no threat behind you. And then come back to center. I notice that my shoulders dropped a little. I can feel my seat and my chair a little bit more. Just see what sensations you're aware of. And then you can pause this podcast or YouTube video and continue to do this exercise as many times as you need until it feels like you're more settled. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly drop your arms, come back to your feet on the ground, and then kind of come back to our interaction through audio or video. How is that? I hope it was helpful. I definitely feel more resourced after doing that. And here's the deal, y'all. I do really believe it's going to be most helpful if you are catching anxiety and panic early. Start to really notice, what are my warning signs that I'm starting to get into that hyper arousal section of my window of tolerance. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we've got a whole episode on window of tolerance that I'd love to point you to. But really start to even track out, if you were to draw your little hill that goes up into hyper arousal, what are some of the sensations that are happening as that hill gets higher up into that orange zone, right? I think that that's so important, because if we can start to do this exercise, when we're just starting to go up that hill instead of when we're at a 10, it's going to be way more effective. And remember, you're not trying to stop the panic attack. How I want you to conceptualize it is we are in the business of creating safety for our system so that our system can naturally settle, okay? We're not forcing anything. So if this podcast has been helpful to you, I'd love to invite you back next week, where we are going to focus on the other end of our window of tolerance and looking more at freeze responses. And so if you are someone who struggles a bit more with dissociation or numbing or kind of zoning out and feeling like you kind of went away for a bit and now you're back and you're like, whoa, what happened? I'm going to give you a great exercise for that. If that sounds like something you're interested in, or if this podcast was helpful, again, I'd love to invite you to like or subscribe to Everyday Simple Somatics on whatever platform you are watching or listening. And then if you'd like to dig in even deeper, I'd love to invite you to the Somatic Wellness Collective. This is an online monthly learning community where we really dive even deeper into these topics and apply these concepts to our individual lives. So there's a link to learn more about that in the show notes. And remember, your body has innate wisdom. We just have to learn how to listen to it. And that's what I'm here for. I'll see you next week.